It's Tuesday, October 9th, and my name is Beth Wofford. I'm calling in from Lexington, Kentucky. My husband and I are thoroughbred horse trainers. We have a few housekeeping tips before I introduce you to our featured speaker. First, we ask that you please do not record these presentations. These webinars are being recorded on your behalf and are archived at the following website, www.animalwebinar.com. We are building a library there of animal stories, and we encourage you to share them with others. You don't need to record these yourself. These webinars take place at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, on the second Tuesday of each month. So mark your calendars accordingly. And finally, and most important, and I think Rachel does a wonderful job in her story talking about this, but please understand that we are not making medical claims of any sort with our products. We are in no way suggesting that you don't call your vet or you ignore their advice should your animal need medical care. These molecules do not heal or cure anything, but simply help each and every living cell work the way it was designed, which enables the body to heal itself. But also keep in mind that these products are 100% safe and non-toxic, so feel free to use them in generous quantities with any animal that crosses your path, regardless of species. Tonight, my guest is Rachel Smith, and first and foremost, I need to say thank you very, very much to Rachel. She stepped in at the last minute because the person that I had lined up had an emergency, and Rachel was kind enough and said, hey, I have the PowerPoint already, Nate's story on PowerPoint. So I can't thank you enough, Rachel, for stepping in and saving the day. But this is also, I got a glimpse of this afternoon, and it's one of the best ones we've ever had, I think. So I think you'll all love it. Rachel's a licensed massage therapist and a certified integrative nutritional health coach. She loves music and children and animals, and she has a background in early childhood education. Through her own healing journey and caregiving for her father, she became interested in learning about other options available for better health and well-being. She currently works out of an acupuncture clinic, and she resides in North Texas with her mother, her cat Simba, and Nate, who we're going to hear a lot more about tonight. Rachel, take it away, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Beth, for having me. I want to say, again, I'm Rachel, and my dog is Nate. He's a miniature pinscher, and I know she was pointing out to me in some of these pictures that you're seeing, he looks kind of big, but he's actually quite small. He's usually weighs in between 7.5 to 9 pounds, kind of give or take how much he's running around. He was born in June 19th, 2003, so he just turned 15 this past June. He's been my dog and living with me since November 2003 when he was about 5 months old, so he's been with me for a while. There's a picture of Nate and myself in the backyard, and he loves to wear bandanas and be wild and crazy, and he also likes to sit in laps and snuggle. When I first got him, I was not aware, but he had some issues. He had some skin issues and allergies, and it's something that we've dealt with a lot during his life. But he's hasn't kept him and slowed him down. I have this picture in here just because I like this picture. It's my favorite picture, and that's what I always tell everyone. He's quite a character, and he's full of energy. On July 19th in 2016, about 2 years ago, I came home from work, and he did not meet me at the door like he normally does, and I was pretty concerned about it. I happened to come home early that day, and I went around looking for him, was starting to get a little bit frantic because I couldn't find him. I finally found him under my mom's bed. He had gotten under there and was not able to get out. He was looking at me with his eyes, but he wasn't moving, and I was able to get him out from under the bed. He was just limp. I called the vet. He's had the same vet since I've had him since he was 5 months old. they said, bring him on now before we close. I called my mom in tears because I thought, well, I don't know what they're going to tell me. And he's floppy and he's just here. We got down there and the vet was like, yes, he's floppy and no, he can't stand up. So we've got an issue here. Kind of checked him out. Didn't seem like he had broken anything. He gave him a dose of prednisone to see if that would help, and sent us home that evening, and had us come back within the next couple of days to check and see how things were going. He still wasn't making progress, and he was still about the same condition, not able to stand up and just floppy. He couldn't hold his head up, wasn't able to hold his body up. And one thing that I really appreciate about his vet is that, you know, we've spent lots of time there between our cats and dog that we've had. And he said to me, you know, you can keep coming to me and spending money, or I can refer you out somewhere, because obviously he's still got a lot of life in him, and he doesn't seem ready. You don't seem ready. So he gave me a couple of names, and we were able to get in with a pet neurologist. Nate has now become the most expensive dog that I've ever had. We got over there to the neurologist, and that was on July 23rd in 2016. And we really loved the staff there that we interacted with. And they took a lot of time to explain to us the possibilities that could be going on with him, of why he was unable to walk and hold himself up. They gave us worst case scenarios, best case scenarios. And they also gave us time to talk and think about and decide how we wanted to proceed. We decided we couldn't really make informed decisions without going ahead and dropping money for an MRI. So I did pay for an MRI for my dog. He had an MRI, x-rays, more x-rays. All that came back showing that he had some bulging discs that were pressing on his spinal cord. He ended up, we were given several options of some things to do, and he stayed overnight. He stayed several nights there. They did some K-laser therapy on him. He had some hyperbaric chamber treatments. They put him on some different pain meds, try to get the swelling down, and rechecked him. The doctor came back and talked with us and just said, you know, he's too old. He's 13 and he's so small, and he just, you know, we don't have a good guarantee that he would have good quality of life, and so I'm not going to do surgery. I was told that was the option to help with the problem, and that if I wasn't ready to put him down that day, that they would send us home and see us back in 2 weeks. And so my mom and I talked, and, you know, we decided you don't drop that kind of money and turn around and put him down. And you could see in his eyes that he was not ready. And I think each person is aware when they're being, you know your pet and you know your animal, and just as we thanked him for what he did and helping us know what they were diagnosing as the problem, and we went ahead and went home. And he has a little bag. He's loved this little bag, and it came in handy during this time, and luckily he was a small guy and we carried him around. I do work at an acupuncture clinic, and was explaining to the acupuncturist, she was asking me about him, and she said, you know what you need to do? You need to take him down. There's a vet not too far, and she does a lot of the same things that we do. You can get various kind of treatments there, mainstream, and then some homeopath and alternative stuff. And you know, I said to her, I said, I don't have any more money. And she handed me a wad of cash and said, go take him. And So we went and were able to get an appointment with Dr. Nancy Bozeman. And that was on August 3rd, 2016. And we went in and we did the whole initial visit, and she looked at me and she said, well, definitely looks like we can't do anything to make it worse, and I'm not going to make you any promises or guarantees, but we'll try. So we began to formulate a treatment plan, and some of that involved trying to work on still managing the pain and getting the swelling down. Some of that, he had a few acupuncture treatments during that time. When the swelling was down, she did some spinal adjustments. One of the first things that she did was put him on some liquid redox molecules. And she had me start him off at about 2 cc. And we worked our way up to about 10 cc. And over a period of a few days. The other thing that she did was shave his neck, and we began putting the redox molecule gel on his neck. In this picture, you can see the hair's growing back a little bit on his neck there, but we'd keep shaving it off. He'd hold his ears up, and that was about it. And we'd have to kind of put pillows around him to help balance him up. My mom and I jumped in with both feet, and at least he's little. We could carry him where he needed to go and hold him when he needed to be held. We spent a lot of time between the schedules that we have with our jobs. We tried to not leave him longer than about 2 hours. We would come back and flip him every couple of hours. We did a lot of laundry during that time because he had a lot of accidents. He was not happy about having accidents, and he was determined he was going to go outside to take care of his business. So we would carry him outside, and we would let him do his business and walk him around the yard and bring him back in. There's a picture of Simba watching Nate there laid on the floor, and he was a good caretaker. He would climb on his tower and kind of watch over him or get near him, and kind of he'd come get you if he needed something. We called him Nurse Simba. But he got to where he could kind of scoot his body, and he could scoot off the pillow. He could kind of scoot around there, but he still couldn't hold himself up. And each day I began taking him out, and we would sit a few minutes in the sun out in the back. We have the morning sun in the backyard. And here we have on August 24th, after being on the redox molecules and working really diligently, and he was able to sit up for the first time outside in the grass by himself. Now, he couldn't walk out there. I had to carry him, but he was able to sit up, and he wasn't sitting up all the way, but he was able to sit up and sit in the sun for the first time. He was then eventually he's able to hold his head higher. He still couldn't stand on his front legs. It didn't mean he didn't try. He was, at this point, had regained some use of the back legs, and we would use this pillow to prop him up, and sometimes he would try to stand up with those back legs like he was going to leave off there and just kind of dive down over the pillow there. But he at this point, we started seeing quite a bit of improvement, and we were giving about 10 cc of the liquid redox, I don't know, 3-4 times in the day. I kind of read him. If he's asking for more, I give him more. Because he couldn't hold his head up, we began doing it out of a syringe, and he still takes the liquid redox molecules now, and he can drink it out of a bowl, but he prefers the syringe, and it's like it's kind of a treat or something for him. Here in September, September 30th, this is a picture showing he was able to curl his body up for the first time, and Dr. Bozeman said that was a huge deal, that he was able to get his body to curl up. You can also see a few spots on his skin here where he was having some allergies and reactions. One of the things that we figured out after he started seeing Dr. Bozeman was that he had an allergy to the prednisone, and he had had quite a bit of it. So we were able to wean him off, and then be able to the body not have to be dealing with that allergy. The thought being the less things that the body's having to deal with that it doesn't have to, the better that it can focus on healing. One of the things that Dr. Bozeman did was make him a cart, and she made the cart out of PVC pipe and said, here, go get some wheels and put him in it. He still didn't have use of the front legs. He wouldn't move them back and forth like they should. He seemed to, at this point, be getting feeling back in his legs where he was responding to touch. We had some touch exercises that we did to try to help the brain realize what's going on. I found a place that sells little pet shoes to help keep his feet straight. He was knuckling them over when he was trying to, they would just drag, knuckled over in the little cart. The problem is he's so small, and those were the smallest size that they had. So he either had to wear socks or you had to kind of wrap some wrap in there so the shoes wouldn't fall off. He had an absolute blast once he could get in this cart and figure out this will go anywhere that I want to go. He and the cat could again start running up and down the hall, and he learned how to slow the cart down and make turns. It took him a little bit, but he learned to do it, and his back legs were just getting stronger and stronger. And one of the things that got to be funny about the cart is I came in one day, I'd put him in the cart, and he'd gone down the hall into the other room, and I didn't hear him, and I walked in there to see what he was doing, and he had gotten himself out of the cart. And here's a little stuffed bunny that we have, and we just let him have it. He used to like to get on that bunny and take a nap, and I couldn't figure out how he was getting out of the cart because he still couldn't stand up on his own. But I saw him do it. He would stand up with his back legs, pull his front legs out of the little holes in the cart, and then lean forward over the little bar on the front of the cart, and then he could climb out with his back legs. It was pretty funny. I had to keep a closer eye on him because we didn't want him to re-injure himself. In this picture, you can see the neck where the hair is growing back, but then also on his back and side where he was still having some skin issues there. Sometimes we were also using the redox signaling gel on those places on his skin. And I also would put it on his abdomen with the thought that, with the guts there in the abdomen, I thought, well, it can't hurt anything. So he would get that applied to his neck and to the different spots. And we were diligent about applying it to the neck where the injury was, about a minimum of 4 times in a day. There were times if he got a little too wild and seemed like he was having some pain, we would do it several times, just like maybe every 15 minutes or so until it seemed to subside a little bit. Here's some pictures from that following December in 2016. At this point, if you notice, he's not in the cart, but he's sitting up in the one picture. And in the other picture, he's outside standing up, doing his business. His front legs were knuckled over, and he was walking what would be kind of equivalent to our wrist. And they kept telling me at the vet, don't let him do that. He's going to mess him up. But trying to tell a little min pin, hey, don't walk like that. And he learned how to take his shoes off, because we had him in the shoes where he was learning to walk in the shoes. But he learned to take his shoes off, and so he would just take off with his front feet knuckled over. One of the things that Dr. Bozeman had said is that, there was a good chance that his front feet may not turn right side up, and they may stay knuckled over. Here's a picture in February where, if you'll notice on his feet, he's just on the tops of the feet rather than where the first bend there is in the front of the front legs. And they began finally turning. And if you notice in this picture, his front right paw is sitting correctly, but that left one was still knuckled over. And everybody, I guess I don't always realize, because I was in the middle of it, how amazing it is. But this was not even a year from where he could not even hold himself up. That was in July, and then this is here about February, March time. In this picture here, you'll see that his front left foot is now standing more on the toes. That left one, he still has a little bit of trouble with it, but not like he did. But it took it a while, a little bit longer, to flip the correct way over for him to walk. This picture is from May 18th, 2017. The thing that is interesting about this picture, these are my decorative bed pillows from my bed that I hadn't put up on my bed yet, and they're not sitting flat on the floor. So for him to get up there meant that he had to climb up there, or the cat had put him up there, and I was pretty sure that Simba had not put him up there. And I started realizing, yes, he was starting to climb, and that was one thing that I was told, that he probably wouldn't, we didn't know how much recovery he might make, and he probably wouldn't be able to climb and jump. And but here, clearly he was climbing here in this May 2017. And I took the picture, and I was like, well, I didn't put him up here, and it was just he and I and the cat, so he got himself up there. And then I was able to see that, yes, he was starting to climb. For anyone who doesn't have a min pin, having a min pin is like having a 2-year-old. One of the things that happened while we were in the midst of all of this was he was bitten by a spider. Of course, stuff like this always happens when the vet is closed for the weekend. That's when that kind of thing is going to happen. When I was able to get him into the vet, she really felt like that he had been bitten by a brown recluse spider. For anybody who's not familiar with those kind of bites, it just kind of keeps eating the tissue. And you have to get it treated. In these pictures, we weren't really sure exactly what he had gotten into. That's when I had come home. That's how he looked. I began using the liquid redox molecules on that area and applying the redox gel. Here on May 24th, you'll see that the swelling had busted. We began flushing it, and with the liquid redox molecules, we would flush it out several times a day. After we'd flush it, we'd come back with the redox gel and apply that. And I also increased his intake, what I was giving him of the liquid redox um, molecules. And if you'll see the picture that has June 1st under that, that's not very many days, but you'll notice how different the wound there looks. And one of the things that Dr. Bozeman told me is that, she believes that if he had not already been taking the liquid redox molecules, that probably this spider bite would have ended up killing him. Here's on June 30th, you can see he's still got just a little bit of a scar. And today he still has a little bit of a scar where the hair hasn't fully grown back. But we say that happened because we were diligent in flushing it with the redox molecules and putting the redox gel in there. This is this past year ago Christmas in 2017. He loves to get dressed. He's sitting up there in the chair with my mom in his brand new sweater that he had gotten for Christmas. And people call him the little miracle dog. That's what Dr. Bozeman calls him, is the little miracle dog. He's still, he is 15, so he's not as youthful and young as he once was, and he doesn't jump like he used to jump, and he doesn't do those type of things anymore, but he is older. And Dr. Bozeman likes to point out too that he had a lot of other issues going on with him, so it's not like he was perfectly well when this happened, and walking through that recovery. And here he is, here on the bed. This was in that January time period. So I appreciate the opportunity to share his story, and I hope that that's helped encourage people, and that if you have the courage to jump in, and there's usually hope to keep, and have hope to keep going. Thank you.
Rachel, I can't thank you enough. This was such an inspirational story. It's just remarkable when you see his little paws right there at the age he is, where his little body shouldn't have been able to heal like that. It is truly miraculous. And that horrific spider bite. I have heard people say that they've lost animals because of spider bites like that. So he is a miracle dog for sure. And I cannot thank you enough for sharing with us. This is just fabulous. Thank you so much. And I'm so happy Nate is still with us and still enjoying life. That's fabulous. We're getting a lot of comments in chat saying how much they appreciated your presentation. And this will be posted in the archives at animalwebinar.com very shortly. And our next webinar will be on November 13th, I think. It's the second Tuesday of November. So thank you all so much for joining us. We appreciate everything, and certainly for you. Thank you so much, Rachel. And
You're welcome.
We'll see. Good. We'll see you all the next month, I hope. Take care, everyone.